G'day guys, so we've just got back from 5 months travelling. This is a bad pull. And Tiff's done a wicked job of compiling all the statistics and data and stuff for us. So if you ever wondered how much it costs you to travel full time, watch this and we'll be able to show you. How have you collated all this data while we've been travelling? Is it all on your computer or your phone or what?
So, I mean, it's different for everyone, but what I found easiest was using Google Drive, just an Excel spreadsheet on Google Drive, so I could access it on my phone or my computer. So as we were travelling, I had two separate spreadsheets, but you could do it in one. I had one for all of our expenses, and then what I did was itemize it and categorize it. So I had different categories. So I had tourism, dining out, alcohol, other shopping, so that was just other random stuff that didn't really fit into a category, maintenance for both the van and the car, and then groceries. Now, that doesn't include accommodation or fuel. So accommodation, I just had a separate spreadsheet just because it was something that we looked at the most. So this was our accommodation spreadsheet. I had it broken down into the dates, where we were travelling to, how many Ks that was, the total cost of our stay, the cost per night of our stay, and what kind of accommodation it was, caravan park, free camp, depot, etc.
All that noise in the background is our dog running through the garden beds, chewing out all our plants and stuff.
Yes.
But hey, all this information, we can share this with people, can't we?
I don't see why not.
Links to the Google Drive in the description.
Yeah, I mean, it was our exact itinerary, so it's not going to suit everyone, but that's what we did. And then I broke it down, those stripes that you see, not that you can see this, but these stripes are the month by month. So I just broke it down into months so I could work out what our accommodation was per month on an average. And then for fuel, that was the only other thing. I did that on my phone. So the app that we used was called Fuel Map Australia. So it comes up just like a map. You zoom in to where you are, click on the symbol, you add it to your logbook, you fill out the details and press save. And then if you go to your logbook, you can go summary, which is a summary of your total logbook. Now, I don't think there's a cap on how many you can put in. We put dozens, hundreds in. No, not hundreds, but lots. So total distance, your average litres per 100. Then if you go history, that's a list of all of our stops.
So we got a more accurate reading of how many Ks we did and what sort of economy we did by doing it this way. Because if I just went by the trip computer on my car, it would have been way out, because having bigger tyres and stuff like that throws it out. So we worked out kilometres by like Google Map, really, didn't we?
Yeah, and we couldn't use the kilometres that we'd put into my itinerary, because that was literally just from one location to the next. That didn't account for any of the other trips that we did inside of that stay. So whether we went up to the shop or we went sightseeing for the day. So yeah, using the app was the best way that we found how many Ks we'd done.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did that as we were travelling, and then I sort of calculated month by month. And then since we've got home, I've gone through all that data again. I've made sure all the calculations are correct, and I've worked out our weekly average of what we spent on fuel, accommodation, etc., etc.
The whole lot. How much it's going to cost you to travel like us. Now, bear in mind that everyone's going to be slightly different.
Oh, yeah.
Along the way, there are a few things that we had to buy that that failed, or servicing requirements for the car.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of money on beer. Tiff doesn't drink. So there's all those things that are going to be different. Plus, some people are trying to do it on the cheap, and they do a hell of a lot of free camping. We found that like free camps are great because you can rock up any time. Obviously, it costs you nothing. They're really easy, but often we found that if we wanted to see like really good attractions that were in town, and free camping was an hour and a half or whatever away, we were better off just staying in town and paying $40 a night at a caravan park than spending an hour and a half each way to go see something.
Yeah,
There's a lot of places like that.
Free camps are great, but they're often out on the outskirts of town or on the outskirts of the attraction.
Oh, and often they're
that you're
right
there
on the
for.
highway and
I know,
stuff.
yeah, they're often right on the highway.
And like just dust bowls, but
But
it's good to mix it up.
in saying that, we stayed mostly at free camps when I broke it down on where we stayed, but we'll go into that soon.
Yeah, I was surprised by that actually.
Yeah.
Felt like we were at caravan parks the whole time.
Yeah, and on that note, with total cost, we didn't budget. Like, we didn't try to budget at all.
No,
we
not at all.
spent exactly what we wanted. We didn't limit ourselves to, only doing one tourist activity a week. We dined out a lot.
Yeah, potentially for us, this could have been. We treat every trip like it could be once in a lifetime, don't we?
Yeah.
You never know what's around the corner. We didn't go on this trip to save money. We went on this trip to have a really good time.
Yeah.
So,
So we did,
and I was on a full wage the whole time.
Yes. So we did we feel like we travelled quite lavishly.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you didn't dine out and you didn't do a lot of tourist activities, you could definitely decrease this by a significant amount.
For sure.
So, in saying that, we were on the road for 141 nights, which is about 20 weeks or 5 months.
Yeah. It was supposed to be longer. We cut it short because of
Yeah, a few different reasons, as you've seen in
COVID
in
and
the
borders and
videos.
all the rest of it.
So, our total expenditure for that time was $22,137.
And break that down, babe. That's everything, isn't it?
That's everything. That's obviously not any of our costs to keep our home, mortgage repayments or bills.
No.
But that's everything that we needed to survive on the road. So, yeah, everything.
Yeah. Every cost associated with travelling.
Yes. So, broken down into a weekly average, that was $1,099. Now, if you look at how many total Ks we did 18,836 kilometres. So, I don't know if in your research, if you've had a look at what people normally recommend you spend, it's usually about $1 per kilometre. That's the figure that a lot of people give you. And that actually is quite correct.
Yeah, we're pretty close to that.
Yeah, so 18,000 kilometres, $22,000. So we will now break it down into each particular thing. So let's start with fuel. So we spoke about the Fuel Map app. Our total fuel cost was $4,669 with an average weekly cost of $232 per week.
And how many Ks were we doing a week for that sort of amount of fuel?
So average kilometres per week was 935 kilometres. So our economy was 17.8 litres per 100.
Remember, we're at 6 or just under 6 tonne combined. I'm pretty much right on my GCM. So although we're in a 13-foot caravan, we're pretty much amongst the heaviest rigs on the road.
Yeah, and I think you were impressed with that economy, weren't you?
I think that's really good. And
17.8.
also, like, that's not really combined economy. That's like 95% towing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you go.
And we sit on 100k everywhere we go. We don't sit on 90 or 85 or whatever.
Yeah.
Up hills a whole lot. I don't drive for economy.
So just some fun little facts here. Our max fuel cost, so our most expensive fuel, was $2.05 per litre, and that was at Mount Barnett on the Gibb River Road. Our cheapest fuel was one of our last fuel stops. It was $1.14, and that was in Denmark. So our average cost was $1.36.
Yeah, it's about right, isn't it?
Yeah. That all on fuel?
Yeah.
Oh, here comes trouble.
I should have flipped the camera. Chloe's climbing through the doggy door to get out to us. Our house is a madhouse. Come outside,
Come
Chloe.
on, then.
Come out. Yes,
can
you
fit
can.
through.
Go on.
Come on. Okay, so total accommodation cost was $4,082. So quite on par with fuel. So average weekly cost was $203 per week. So total amount of camps was 76.
So roughly 2 nights in each spot.
Yeah, so our shortest stay was 1 night. I didn't put locations because we did lots of one nights.
Yeah.
There was too many to name.
Getting to places just to break up the Ks.
Yeah, usually somewhere that we didn't really want to stay, but it was just to break it up, yeah, as you
Yeah.
said. We didn't, we did 900 kilometres per week, so...
Roughly 270 Ks per drive,
Yes.
which was roughly every second day.
Yeah. And we didn't like to really do any more than 3 hours in the car. It was
Nah.
just getting too much.
Travelling with a toddler and towing, and we were doing it for enjoyment.
Yeah. Okay, so our shortest drive was 11 kilometres, and that was on our way back south through Perth, that stop that we did to pick up some few things. And that was from our home to my parents' property, and that's just because we stayed the night there just to catch up with them. Our longest stay, we had 3, and they were 5 nights long. So we stayed 5 nights in Exmouth, 5 nights in Kununurra, and 5 nights at Barn Hill.
Which were pretty much all our favourite places, weren't they?
Yeah.
Or some of.
Yeah. Our longest drive was 493 kilometres, and that was our second day on the road, I think.
Yeah, we were trying to push out of Perth like as far as we could go, because at that time we were racing to the Territory for dry season to cross in there, weren't we?
And the weather was cold and wet when we left.
Yeah, and we were
So
keen.
we wanted to try and get out of that awful weather. We also had a few detours that day. That was the day that we went to that ghost town,
Yeah, Bell's Mine or something.
and we looked at that rock.
Woburn Rock.
Yeah,
we
so
did a few
we did
things.
a lot of stuff on the way to the camp. So yeah 493 k's, and that was a full day affair. I remember rocking up to camp. We probably left at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I think we arrived to camp at maybe 4:30.
Yeah, we second guessed ourselves a bit after that, didn't we? Because
Yeah.
first day on the road, Chloe was bored. You and I were at each other because it was a bit stressful packing up the house and leaving, and then we didn't get in. It took us like 8 hours or something, or longer, like 10 hours to do 500
Yeah.
k's, and we thought, holy shit, what have we got ourselves in
Yeah.
for?
See, when we first started the trip, we would look at the k's, so 493, 500, and we'd say, okay, 500 k's, 5 hours,
Yeah,
easy done.
100k an hour.
But that is not the case, because you've got toilet stops, fuel stops,
Yeah, snacks.
snack
and-
stops. Like it, yeah, 500 k's was really like
7 or 8 hours.
7 hours. So.
Yeah.
But you learn as you go. Most expensive accommodation was the outrageous Mandalay Caravan Park in Bustleton, $73 a night for a powered site.
And they pack you in there too, don't they?
Yeah. And I've heard it's expensive year round. I heard that at the Christmas holidays they were charging, I think it was $150 a night. Yeah, and just on the top of my head, I know Broome was really expensive too. I think Broome was about $60.
Port Sampson was expensive.
Yeah, so Broome was $68 a night. Exmouth was $55 a night. Back at Broome. Karratha was expensive. Point Sampson was expensive.
Yeah.
For no reason. Unusual. Wasn't school holidays.
And we've touched on this before, but this is one thing that I didn't know. Tiff was all over it, but I didn't realise that caravan parks, I knew they charge you more during peak season, but even, as in like school holidays and stuff, but even outside of school holidays, their nightly rate will change. So if you booked it 6 months in advance, you could lock in, say, $45 a night.
A cheaper rate.
Yeah, but if you rocked up on the day and you wanted to book something, they might charge you $55, $60 a night.
Yeah.
So that surprised me.
And that's not every caravan park. It seems to be more common with the chain caravan
Yeah,
parks,
Big
like
Four,
Big Four,
RAC.
RAC. They will change their price, but just a local caravan park, privately owned, it's generally a flat rate.
But the Big Fours and the RACs did have a lot to offer, didn't they? They were always like some of the best ones.
Yeah, their facilities are really good.
Mm.
So cheapest accommodation, $0. That's lots of the free camps that we did. So I've then done an average price of accommodation was roughly $29 a night. So I've broken down where we stayed most of the time. So we had 76 days in total. We had 25 free camps. So that was our highest number, which surprised both of us.
Yeah.
We thought we didn't do a lot of free camping, but we did.
The free camps were often all those one nights on the way to somewhere, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So 19 of our stays were Depot/Shire. So that can be either Department of Parks and Wildlife, which is the government organisation, but then some camps come under the local shire of that town. So
Yeah. And with most of those broke down to either being $11 per person per night or $15 per person per night. But
Yeah.
if they were in national parks, which many of the Deepore ones are, they could often charge you $15 entry into the park, plus 15 for Tiff and 15 for me. For us, we had a national park pass, which we
Yeah.
have calculated into these costs. What was that a year? $60, wasn't
I think
it?
it was $60. That was
But
with
we
a
used a
discount.
concession.
Yeah, so we got a discount because we're with RAC.
That's right.
So we got a half price. So it's normally 120. But don't be confused with National Parks Pass. It's not a National Parks Pass. It's
Isn't it?
only for WA.
Yeah, and
So-
it didn't cover every national park in WA anyway.
No, it doesn't.
But it still worked out worthwhile for us with the amount of time
I
we
think
spent
it.
there.
I think it. If you stay, I think it was if you stay 5. If you go to 5 national parks, it works out.
Yeah, you break
be
even
worth
on
it.
4 because it's $15 entry to a national park, and it was $60.
Yeah,
Yeah, so to break even, it's 4 entries to a national park.
unless you pay full price, then it's 8.
Yeah.
So 11 of those stays were private property / stations. And then 21 of those stays were at caravan parks. So yeah, mainly free camps and then caravan parks, depot, stations.
I reckon if you broke that down though to how many days we stayed at each place, I think caravan parks would still come out on top though, wouldn't it? Because caravan parks we generally stayed 2 or 3 nights, whereas free camps were often just 1 night.
Yeah, not sure. I know caravan parks as well, when you book, they often give you an incentive to stay longer. So it might be pay for 2, stay for 3. So yeah.
Hey, if you don't think you're a caravan park person, I'd encourage you to give a few a go because I always thought I'm not a caravan park person and I'd want to stay in free camps everywhere we went. But I got to say, some of the caravan parks, especially in some of like the remote locations like Kununurra,
Yeah, Broome.
yeah, were awesome. Like they give you heaps more room. Same deal with stations; they give you so much more room than I thought you'd get.
Yeah, yeah. You were very anti-caravan parks when we left, and the good thing about caravan parks as well is they're managed. So if you've got if you've got a neighbour that's noisy, well, you're not going to have a neighbour that's noisy because there's curfews and rules put in place. So we didn't have any problems with noisy neighbours or.
I don't think, to be fair, I think this trip we didn't actually have any issues anywhere with noisy neighbours or, we're talking about pissheads that are up all night yelling and arguing or fighting or even just laughing and smoking and blowing cigarette smoke into your sight.
Yeah.
We didn't have any of that this trip. We've had it.
No, we didn't.
We have had those trips before, but honestly, most of them have been around Perth, within a couple of hours of Perth.
Yeah, and that's just because it's a big capital city, I suppose. Yeah. And if you go anywhere near a capital city on a weekend,
you're in for a bad time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, we didn't have any problems.
Nah.
So I'm just going to break down our average weekly costs. So accommodation, $203. Fuel, $232. Groceries, we roughly spent $164 per week. Now that's probably about the same as what we spend at home.
Yeah.
Groceries are more expensive in country towns, but we probably didn't buy as much as we would buy in Perth, so that sort of equaled out.
And also, whenever we pass through a bigger city, like from, so Perth, Geraldton, Carnarvon, Karratha, Broome, any of those sort of bigger towns, we'd normally stock up. We'd do a bigger shop, and we'd vac pack all our meat and split it into like nightly sort of amounts.
Yeah, and so we also we had a fridge and a freezer. I think it's definitely worth having a freezer if you're traveling full time.
Yeah, so we'd eat the fresh food first, then we'd eat the frozen food, and then we'd eat canned food generally, wouldn't we?
Yeah, and we probably bought more than we needed. Like we came home, we never actually fully emptied our freezer and then went and did another shop.
Nah.
Like we always had a surplus. So.
And also, I caught heaps of fish, so we had heaps of frozen fish in the freezer, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a big supply from Exmouth.
Oh, thanks, babe.
What?
I thought you for sure you were going to say no. You caught bugger all.
Well, after Exmouth, there wasn't a lot. There was a lot in Exmouth, so. Alcohol.
Actually, you were overfished by then, weren't you?
Yeah. Alcohol weekly cost was $74 per week. Now that's only for one person because I wasn't even drinking. So
Moving on.
dining out is $164 a week.
That
Now,
surprises me.
That's quite a big cost.
Yeah. Although
That's the same as our grocery bill per week.
and not far off accommodation, really.
Yeah.
It's not great.
So yeah, if you are on the road and you're looking for a way to reduce your costs, yeah, dining out it definitely is a waste of money.
Yeah.
But
That was like breweries, pubs,
yeah,
not flash restaurants by any means.
no, this is any meal, like any like ice cream stop at the servo.
Oh, yeah.
Like servo food. That's
We didn't really eat a lot of servo food per se, but we stopped for ice creams
Yeah.
and stuff like that pretty often.
yeah. Maintenance for the car and the van was $88 per week. Now that figure is skewed a little bit because we had a major car service in Karratha, which I think from memory was about $780.
Yeah, and I bought a
And-
CV shaft.
And you bought the new drive shaft, is CV shaft. So
Same thing, yeah, which was about $600.
and that was 500. I
So there's $1,400-1,500. So
Yeah.
more.
And then the rest was just little things like, little hardware shops,
Yeah.
like nuts and bolts and
Rolls of tape, and things like that.
oil and
Yeah, pulleys and drive belts and stuff.
yeah. But in terms of anything else, there was nothing
We
else major happened.
We didn't spend anything on the van.
No.
The
Oh
only
no, we
thing-
did $15 at Denmark when we ripped the door off.
Oh, you are good. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I bought a replacement hinge.
Yes.
Yeah, which has been fixed by MDC actually under warranty. So that'll be, I think, next week's video, possibly next fortnight's video, will be the wrap up of the caravan, including warranty and dealing with MDC and all of that. So
So other expenses was $158 per week. Now, when I say other, that means any tourism activities, any other random shopping like clothes or new hats or shoes or anything.
thongs, heaps of pairs of new thongs.
And that also includes the new angle that we had to buy in Tom Price when our freezer broke. So that was $1,500.
We paid premium for that because we needed it, and we could only find one in
Yeah.
any neighbouring town. So
Yeah. And then lastly, the sat phone, that came to $16 per week.
so it's a $50 plan, isn't it?
It was a $50 plan per month, but then the startup cost was about $200 or something. So
Plus that we bought the sat phone second hand for around $800, I think.
yes, now I haven't included the cost of the sat phone in this
Yeah.
because this is mainly our running expenses, not the expenses that we incurred. In the start, like
Yeah.
to buy the van and to
And
buy
parts
the
of
sat
the
phone.
car and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This was just the cost, that we incurred while we were travelling.
Yeah.
With that sat phone, we'll just touch on that quickly. We never used it. I don't regret bringing it though. Do you?
No, I guess it's a bit like insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
You might not need it, but in a situation where you could need it, it's vital. So
Yeah. So like,
Yeah.
if we're at a cell reception and there was a snake bite, or we rolled the car, or we came across someone injured or something like that, then it's priceless. We would have
Yeah.
been so thankful for having it.
yeah. And people say, well, why don't you get one of those personal locating devices, which are a lot cheaper?
Yeah.
But you can only use them if you're in an emergency situation and breaking down and needing.
Yeah, so you snap a stub axle on your caravan and you can't repair it on the side of the road, but you don't want to use your PLB and
Well, you can't. It's not an emergency.
No, you
just
don't
need
want
to
you don't want the
include
Royal Flying Doctors rocking up because you've snapped a stub axle.
Yeah. So if you look at this breakdown now, we've put in the percentage of our total spend.
So your biggest cost is fuel at 21%, and then accommodation at 18.5%.
Yeah, so 40% of the total weekly cost was accommodation and fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And then groceries, dining and other.
Yeah, so like I said, I'll provide links to these two spreadsheets for you to have a look at if you want to in the description below. Yeah, just bear in mind that we didn't do it on the cheap. We did what we considered to be pretty comfortable, didn't we? Didn't sort of skimp on anything.
Yeah. So yeah, $1,099 per week. 22,137 in total.
But yeah, they roughly say $1 a kilometre, don't they? And ours worked out at $1.17 a kilometre, so pretty close. That's a good sort of guesstimation for you.
Yeah, another figure people use is $1,000 a week. We spent $1,100 a week, so
pretty close.
Hi.
Hi, can I have a figure frog?
Say hello, everyone.
No, I want a figure frog.
You want a Freddo frog? All right.
Do you have any?
Yeah.
Go have a look. We just wanted to quickly touch on booking stuff in Western Australia, especially if you're not from WA and you're planning to do a bit of travelling around here. Anything in school holidays is going to be mental, especially at the moment with COVID, because obviously no one's doing international travel. There's more people, exploring domestically than ever before. So for school holidays, you need to book like 6 months to a year in advance, really, to get into some of the sort of most popular places.
Which is really hard when you are travelling. Like you really don't know where you're going to be 6 months in advance. So what we found was we stuck to places that weren't really popular during school holidays. So in September school holidays, we were near we were planning to head towards Exmouth, but Exmouth is one of those towns that books out during school holidays. So we decided to stay a little bit further north in Karratha, which doesn't get as busy because it's further from Perth. And all the people that live in Karratha were travelling elsewhere for the school holidays.
So Karratha was pretty quiet then.
Yeah.
The other thing is the Parks and Wildlife campsite, which is most of the national parks. You book them online through DPAW's website, which I'll show you on the screen now. Just be aware that now you can book 6 months out. So if you're planning to book anything here during peak season or school holidays, you literally want to be staying up until midnight 6 months in advance and book it then, because these things are booking out so quickly. And we've even found that ourselves. We booked Woora Station for this year in peak season, and I think I booked 4 or 5 months in advance, and there was nearly nothing left, wasn't there?
Yeah. It's not... Oh, hang on, where does it say? So it's 180 days. Is that 6 months?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not normally like this. Like normally you can book it at any time, and you normally would get a spot outside of school holidays. But I don't know, for some, everyone's travelling at the moment, so things are very, very busy.
What we'll do is we'll grab a map now, and we'll briefly show you which sections in WA are peak season. That'll give you a bit of an idea of when you want to be there, and also how far in advance you want to be booking for those areas.
Yeah, so based on our experience, I mean, we left Perth in July, and the reason why we tried to head north as quick as we could was because we were leaving quite late in the best season to be up north. So we've sort of broken it down. Best time for sort of Gascoyne region, April to September. Pilbara, sort of the same, April to September. And then Kimberley's, we've done May to August. That's the dry season. So the dry can start to, things can start to open up around April.
But if you're betting on April, you could be disappointed because the Gibb River Road could still be shut like it is this year.
Exactly. So I think the year that we travelled, I think it didn't open until mid-May, which was quite late.
The year we travelled, not this year.
Yeah, last year. And then we left the Kimberley around the end of August, and it was starting to get really hot, but they did say that was quite unseasonable. So, yeah. April to sort of September, you're okay.
So that period is their dry season or our winter in Perth. That's sort of our late autumn, early winter in Perth. And then for the southwest, we suggested summer, November to March.
Yeah, so the only problem with that is sometimes we can get really, really hot, stinking days, which is awful for if you're in a caravan. But from last year's experience, we were in the southwest in December and it was still raining and cold. So yeah, it does make it hard to plan. And depending on where you leave from, it doesn't really matter if you go clockwise or anti-clockwise. You just want to sort of match up. You really want to be in the north entire pocket of Australia in the dry season, and you want to be in the south
In summer.
in summer.
Yeah, basically. So if you only had like a month or a 2-month window in any of this sort of Pilbara to Kimberley region, I'd say June, July is probably your 2 best months. And then same deal in the very southern region, sort of generally December, January, February is your best time. But bear in mind, the southwest is a funny little pocket, and they'll get rain in the odd day in January and February still.
And just touching on school holidays, so in WA there are school holidays in April, so around Easter time, in July, and in September. So you really don't want to be in any of the really popular spots in those times, and those popular spots are pretty much anywhere in the southwest, because everyone from Perth travels to the southwest because it's such an easy drive. It's short distance.
Yeah.
And then the main hotspots like Denham, so Shark Bay, Kalbarri, Exmouth, Karajini, and they're the main hotspots. So
where is Karajini?
Karajini.
Yeah, because they're all sort of travelling distance from Perth when people have got 2 week school holidays. Anywhere north of that, school holidays is not such an issue, but the Kimberley, obviously in dry season, especially the Gibb River Road and whatnot, can be quite busy.
We generally were only maybe a week ahead in terms of a planned itinerary. That would make it hard if you were out of reception. So when we got into reception, I would try and catch up and get 1 week ahead. So whether that meant phoning caravan parks to get a booking. Often if you go online on a caravan park's website and it says no availability, you call them. They often do have availability. They just don't have any bays available on their website. So it's always worth calling if you can't get a spot. Free camps and local camps, you just take the gamble. You rock up. If there's no spots, you've got to look elsewhere.
Yeah, if you're going to be going somewhere popular in peak season, I probably, unless you're going to be getting there before the rush, I wouldn't be banking on the fact that you'll get free camps, because you might find that you get up there, all the free camps are full, and then you've got nowhere to stay. So we always made sure that we booked paid for accommodation like caravan parks for those really popular areas in peak season, just to make sure we had somewhere to be.
Yeah, and if we had planned to stay at a free camp, we often would have a backup in the back of our minds as well. So we would look on wiki camps, which we'll touch on in a minute, and we'd have the spot that we wanted to go, and then a backup not far away that we could go to as well in case it was full.
So let's talk about that. On that note, we planned our whole trip really through, well, like you said, only a week in advance. We didn't have a full itinerary for the whole state, but we basically used wiki camps. So that app's like $7 for iOS or Android, and that was invaluable, wasn't it?
Yeah, I used that daily, multiple times a day.
Yeah.
Not only for like looking where to stay, but also reviews on the campsites.
Yeah, because a lot of them were not familiar to us.
Yeah. And not just campsites as well. It was a good source of finding water.
Dump points.
I think that was it. So
rubbish bins.
Yeah, water and dump points were our two main things. So say, for example, we were heading towards Exmouth. All of those little blue dots that you see are the water points. So you can zoom in. That's a toilet, but free potable water. The little red sign that you see are dump points, so we'd know that's where we could dump our waste.
Oh, we used that one.
We did. And then any of the purple ones are caravan parks, so you can click into each one, have a look at reviews, have a look at them.
We found that invaluable, didn't we? Reviews and photos.
Yeah. And then the little green ones are also places you can stay. Yeah, now that kilometres that you see, that's as the bird flies. That's not via the roads. So it'll always be shorter than what you think it actually is.
Yeah, so we'd normally plug it into Google then. So we might say, distance from Perth to Exmouth, and then it breaks it down through Google Maps and gives you the exact case.
Yeah, you can also filter by, what you're looking for. So you might want to find places that are dog friendly, so you can filter by that. You'll notice also my map is got a green line through it everywhere. That's because I added each of our stops into a trip planner.
Which you could obviously do ahead of schedule if you wanted to plan your trip before you left.
Yeah, so add to planner, and then when you go back to the home page, trip planner, I can have a look at all of my stops that I had.
Yeah, and it gives you the distance there between them.
So anytime you go into pass through a town, we'd normally stop, fill up the water, empty the toilet.
Which we had no dramas with, by the way.
No, none.
And also grey water. A lot of people are really concerned about grey water. We can't speak for other states because we haven't done a lot of travelling in other states yet. But in Western Australia, certainly out of 141 nights camping, there were 2 spots where we had to collect our grey water. And both of them were happy with us collecting it in a jerry can, which we disposed of that water somewhere else.
Yeah. So our van came standard with a grey water tank. We converted that to a freshwater tank before we used it because to us, having more water was more valuable than a grey water tank.
Which paid off, as you can see by, we stayed longer in free camps than we did caravan parks, so that was worthwhile doing.
Yeah, so 6 nights was the best that we did on our 200 litres of water.
That's having showers. 3 of us having showers every single night, though.
Yeah, and in terms of the toilet, we really only got 2, maybe 3 days at a
stretch. If that's if I'm weeing outside.
Yeah.
And we've got a fairly big toilet too.
Yeah.
We've got a 20 litre tank. Many of them only have 10 litre tanks. Now, we were doing number 1s and number 2s in our tank. A lot of people don't do number 2s in them.
Yeah.
We never had issues with smells though, did we? No. And from what I'm reading, the way the chemicals work, if you don't do number 2s in them, you only do number 1s, quite often they smell worse. Because it needs that bacteria or something.
I don't understand why you'd buy a caravan with a toilet in it and then not use it to do both.
But a lot of people do.
I don't get it. You may as well use it for what it's intended for. So hopefully that wasn't too boring for you. There's a lot of stats, a lot of numbers to get through, but I know a lot of people are really interested in figures, total cost, when to travel. What were you going to say?
Nothing. I think that wraps it up. So yeah, hopefully that helps you plan your own trip. WA is a wicked state to explore. So, and planning it is half the fun, isn't it?
Yeah. If you've got any other questions, we probably are planning to do another Q&A to wrap up this series, are we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, got a question? Let us know. Hopefully, we can cover that off.
So probably van update, final review, and then a last Q&A, and then that's this series done and dusted. Moving on to the next thing. Is that it?
Yep.
Cheers, guys.